I met a woman through Facebook. She called my phone. We engaged one another in small talk for a while. She pointed out that I tried to talk to her sister and cousin. When I seen who they was, I didn't know they all was related because they all had different last names. This was the night the preacher daughter aired on BET. She told me this movie made her look at Tank different. I remind her that that is acting. That is a role he plays just for that movie. Out of nowhere, I asked her what she was looking for. Things went silent between us for the next 5 minutes. Once I said, "Hello, you there?" She said, "Look, I am not looking for a fuck friend, boyfriend, or a baby daddy. I need a husband. If you with that, continue talking to me. If you not, hang up the phone." I took that and ran with it because that was the same statement I was waiting to hear from my son's mom that never came. Now here I am finally hearing it from someone. How many women make a statement that powerful and not be serious? We only seen each other once a week. That was every Sunday in service. Then stood in the parking lot talking for 45 minutes every Sunday. Every spare moment we was calling and texting one another, more calling than texting because she wasn't big on texting. The convo was big. We talked about everything that we needed to discuss in order to progress into getting married. One night she invited me to attend her church for night service. I attended that same Wednesday night for Bible study. The friendliness of the church members made me feel right at home. I met her sister. We spoke. She explained why the church don't have instruments. While Bible study was going on, I noticed that everything the pastor spoke on came directly out the Bible. Nothing made up or nothing he assumed about the Bible. That is rare to find church that preach and teach word for word out the Bible. That is when I knew I wanted to be a part of this church. That night we talked about the service and how I felt about the church. Within a couple of weeks after Sunday service, I told the pastor I wanted to be baptized. I was baptized right then. With the time I brought the engagement ring and popped the question. In the proposal, I broke down everything the Bible said about marriage, the husband duties and wife duties. That was after we complete our last test, that was sex. We did not want to go to the next level without testing out each other's sex game. That like buying a used car without test driving it first. After I proposed, I moved in by the weekend and agreed on how the bills will be paid. I paid the rent and light bill. She covered everything else. That is what she was used to. I was willing to try something new. Valentine's Day came around. Me and her children went to Victoria's Secrets and bought 4 sets of Victoria's Secret smell good that all three of us picked out. The smile on her face was enough payment itself. Father's Day came around. She brought me 4 outfits and 2 bottles of cologne. I was in shock because a woman never spent that much money on me at one time. We used to hang out every Friday night at her aunt's house, little family Friday party that went on for a while. One Friday night, I noticed it was getting late. I told my wife it was getting late. We had to leave before we end up too tired for our session in the morning. We left. I could tell her family didn't agree with what just happened, and I was willing to explain if it came to it. The next morning, we was getting prepared for wedding counseling. Her sis called to speak with me. She asked me, was everything okay? They usually party until the sun come up. I replied, we taking wedding counseling every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We need to be in our right mind for that to learn all we need to know about marriage. I didn't mind partying. We had to party with a limit. Then I hung up. I was under the pressure. I was the only one taking this getting married serious. Time went on. I can't speak for her, but my eyes was being open to another level every Saturday. The more I learned about marriage, the more I studied and researched the Bible for more understanding of marriage. Our pastor broke down marriage right before our eyes, word for word, Saturday after Saturday. Things was going good, even with the problems on my job. Things was still going as planned. After I stepped my grind up, the big day arrived. Somehow I knew something was wrong. She was taking longer to arrive. When she came out, the music started right there. When I seen my wife to be in her wedding dress, my eyes watered up. We had changed vows. When I placed the ring on her finger, she stuck out the wrong finger. Once we kissed for the first time, the husband and wife, the party started. After being married a month, my trial date came. My trial date arrived for a case I was told was going to be dropped. Me and my wife arrived to court. The public defender handed me the deal, which was 6 months for papers or 6 months jail time. I took the probation because I just got married and don't want to leave my wife already. I had 30 days to check in. When the day arrived, I drove to the jailhouse, then got pulled over for not wearing my seatbelt. I informed the cop I don't have a license and gave him my ID. He ran my name, then put me in handcuffs. I was in the waiting room until my wife's sister arrived to pick up our truck. I wanted to sit in jail because I knew this would violate my probation, but my wife talked me into bonding out, which I did. One Friday night, I arrived at her aunt's house to pick up my family and felt the bad vibe in the room. I glanced at everyone. Everyone looked shocked, like something had happened. I spoke to my sister-in-law. She waved back, and once I got to my wife, I asked her was she all ready to leave and if everything was okay. Before she could reply, her brother started talking shit. Yeah, get your family, get up out of here before I kill y'all. I let it ride because I almost got fired tonight for some bullshit. Now here go his shit. Plus I could tell he was drunk. That was another reason to let things go. Once me and my wife got the children into the car, I started up the truck. She jumped out the truck, speed walking to her brother's house and started banging on the door. I grabbed her and walked back to the truck, then speed home. I asked my wife what happened before I arrived because I felt the bad vibe in the air the moment I came through the door. She told me her brother got too drunk and went to snapping on everyone that almost led to a fight. And I was mad and did a U-turn, headed back to her brother's house until she told me to let it go. He not going to answer the door. Don't worry about it. One night, me and my wife sitting around talking. Her phone rang and someone knocked on the door. She went out the door. Within a few minutes, she was back. Told me she had to run to the store. A while went by and she came back and put her phone on the charger and went into the bathroom. Within 5 minutes, a text came through her phone. Then her phone rang. I answered, "What up?" It was her brother, wife. We had a small fight. She thought I knew what was going on. Stop playing dumb when I really didn't know what was going on. I could hear her brother in the background talking trash like they coming over our crib ready to fight. I hung up the phone, went to the bathroom to question my wife about what was going on. Come to find out they had a huge fight. My wife, her sister, and her sister's son beat up their brother for calling both of the sisters out. That explained where the nasty text came from that my brother-in-law wife sent my wife. The next day I came home from work to prepare for my second shift on my second job. Me and my wifey was in our bedroom talking until her daughter told us the police was at the door. We both jumped up and headed to the door. That is when I found out I had to leave because of my felony conviction. Things you go through in the hood and dealing with fake family. The police gave me a trespass warning and escorted me off the property. I went to our church home that was right up the street and had one of the church members drive me back home to get my work clothes. A few days go by and my wife asked me to come over her sister's house. I pop up since it was my day off. We stood in the yard and talked for a while, then we and her sister talked. We agreed on how much rent I had to pay her to live there. After talking with my wife, I agreed things was going as planned for a minute until my wife's mom boyfriend pop up acting too friendly. That went more drama started within a few days. I had to leave there because of my violent record. The brother felt that I would try to harm his sister or her children because I had too many violent charges on my record. The mom boyfriend told his son that my fam was staying with their older sister. The brother got in contact with the older sister kid's father, told him about my record. That news had him ready to do harm to me. I ran into a homie I knew from county jail that was behind on his rent. He agreed to let me live with him for $200 a month. I slept in the corner that was all the space I needed until I found a second job. I go by my wife house sneaking in. I go by my wife sneaking me in and out of her apartment every weekend. That was getting old, but we had to do what we had to do until more money came to the table. One Friday night, we was in Bible study, and my white brother called her phone talking trash. She told me about it. I drove her truck over there. When I got there, I had second thoughts. I couldn't afford another violent charge on my record. I still pulled across the street from his house and sat there planning how I wanted things to play out before I could make a move. The entire family was noticed the truck. I jumped out, walked over to the house, prepared to talk things out like men. After all, I am on probation. When I noticed the gun in a brother's hand, I knew he was past talking. Then I prepared to fight, but figured the brother and two uncles would jump me. We all know fam would stick together. I went for my next check-in. That turned into me getting another violation for missing my last check-in and driving without license situation. Within a few days, I was back on the streets. I kept my word and reached out to my job about getting me back on the schedule. They were talking a different tone. I lied about being a convicted felon. Because of that, they fired me. I tried to reason with the manager. She had no understanding. This the same manager that wanted me to show up for work after my wedding instead of enjoying my honeymoon. Because I declined, she cut my hours lower than low. When I had to find another full-time job on my days off. I went to check in with my probation officer. He thought he had me, but texts are no big deal. He told me my anger management classes had to be done 30 days before I get off probation. I got on the ball with no stable income. I was not able to complete the classes. I talked with my wife about what was going on. That led to more frustration on both sides. I missed my next check-in. I wanted to hang out classic weekend before losing my freedom for 2 months. I was in my motel room showering before heading to the club. I heard someone knocking on the door. It was the police. I sat on the bed until they left. They never left. The manager opened the door. They arrested me. Within a couple of weeks, my wife came to visit me. All we talked about was working things out and how we can fix our marriage upon me getting released. After the fourth visit, that was the last visit. Once I was sentenced, I asked the probate defender to contact my wife and let her know how much time I got. I came back to the dorm from working in the kitchen all night. The moment I fell asleep, good, the CEO was calling my name. A deputy was here to see me. I couldn't think of why I would be getting served a warrant. Come to find out I was being served divorce papers. I signed where I needed to sign and walked off. The deputy said those are divorce papers. I looked at the papers over in total shock. Then I placed the papers under my pillow and went right back to sleep. I woke up lunchtime at 8. Then I went over the papers, still in shock. I guess all that talking was just talking. Now I have to worry about finding a place to stay and this divorce. With 4 days left in jail, that was a lot to take in. I got released with nothing but saving my marriage on my mind. I thought about it for the last 3 days and the walk from 33rd all the way to Mercy Drive. I was going to knock on her door, figure knocking on her bedroom window would break her up. After knocking, she heard me talking. All she had to say was I need to leave before she called the police. I still didn't care because we took vows. I wasn't willing to go down without a fight. I asked, could you give me all my stuff? She told me our pastor had my stuff. Then I went back to the matter at hand. We need to talk. Things can be fixed like I never left. No response. I left, had to my second plan. I arrived at labor ready to work in the same clothes I wore to jail last November. I asked to go on the trash truck, was told no because of my violent record. The trash company don't want workers with violent records. Now everything backfired in my face that fast. Later that day, I went to the library to try and talk with my wife through Facebook inbox. I sent her the longest message I have ever texted anyone. I was proofreading my last plea to save my marriage. Half through, I gave up. A few days later, I found out my Facebook was closed by Facebook for bothering people. I went to my church home to pick up my belongings. Pastor said my wife brought nothing by the church. They haven't seen my wife since New Year's. Now where I stand, one outfit to wear until I get to work and about to lose my wife. I stayed in the shelter for a few months, then left once my money started flowing right. Me and one of my homegirls was on the phone back in July. I asked her how could I check the update on my divorce. She went to type on her computer and pulled it up. Your divorce was final the end of May. That moment I told her I would call her back. I got on my knees and prayed to God to help me turn my life around, to clear up all my roadblocks, get a career, and relocate to Georgia, and keep me single until I achieve all the above. I think around 2015, I logged into Facebook, seeing a friend request from my ex-wife. I figured this was my chance to get answers, then leave things alone. Our first convo was a total shock. She wanted to get back together and work things out. She admitted her wrong, told me she didn't think I was strong enough to protect her and her children because I didn't stand up to her brother. I told her I won't raise around nonsense like that. We were family. When you fam should never resort to violence against one another. She told me how everyone that played a part in destroying our marriage is going through pure hell, how the baby she had is sick to the point where she'll never be able to work a full-time job. I was lost for words. Really couldn't believe my ears. As I thought things over, I was willing to work things out because that would bring me favor with God. Why start over with someone new when you already have history with someone? We talked good for about 3 to 4 days, then everything died. Around the time Tupac All Eyes on Me movie came out, I got a friend request from my ex-wife on my new page. I accept. Took me a few days to start convo. When I did start convo with her, I gave her props for helping me upgrade my entire life. We talked. She told me how things kept going downhill for her and reminded me of our previous convo the year before. We both wanted to try again. The only difference is she wanted to go on a few dates and progress from there. Me, the same way we built things the first time around is the same way we will build the second time around. That entire convo lasted about an hour. A few days went by. I went to bragging on Facebook about a big deposit I made. She DM'd me asking to borrow some money. I never replied. A couple days went by. She unfriended me. There won't be a third time at trying it again. I see she gave into the world way of building nothing while I am still on the old-fashioned way. If she was to ever send me another friend request, I would delete it and let the past remain the past.